This is an NJN News special report. Governor Whitman's State of the State address.
Good afternoon. I'm Kent Manahan, and welcome to NJN's live coverage of Governor Christine Todd Whitman's 1999 State of the State address. Governor Whitman is just completing the first year of her second term. Today, she will talk to New Jerseyans to give her perspective on the well-being of the state of New Jersey. In this, the annual State of the State address, it is the governor's fifth such address as she completes as I said, the first year of her second term in office. We are gathered here for this address at the War Memorial Building in Trenton, a building which has just undergone a $43 million renovation. Today, you could say it's a double ceremony of sorts, because following the governor's address, this building will be rededicated. It will be rededicated as a memorial for World War I soldiers and sailors. Originally, this was built as a gathering hall in the capital city of Trenton for the cost of $800,000 following a huge fundraising effort on behalf of the people and the young children of the greater Mercer County area. It has served as a gathering hall, a banquet hall, a recital, and a concert hall over the years. Down through the decades, it has seen the likes of Paul Robeson, Bruce Springsteen, and Vladimir Horowitz. Today, it will be rededicated for the soldiers and the sailors of World War I in a grand ceremony that will include a 21-gun salute. And we will be here for the next couple of hours or so to bring you the governor's State of the State address and this ceremony in downtown Trenton at the War Memorial Building. Of course, I am joined this afternoon by NJN senior political correspondent Michael Aaron, my colleague, who is going to give us some perspective from his point of view. Michael, you have been covering the story all week.
I have, Kent. We looked at Governor Whitman's last State of the State address, you and I, when we interviewed her on the record last weekend. Yesterday on the news, we looked at, Jim Hooker looked ahead at today's speech, and we looked back at last year again. Before I talk about the speech, I just want to say that the War Memorial looks pretty nice. This has been one of the dark and dingy rooms in New Jersey for many a year, and now it's brighter and more glamorous, I would say.
After a couple of years of renovation with literally tens of hundreds of people working on it, from craftspeople to artisans and carpenters and architects and the like.
And there's talk of a hotel going up next door. Trenton could use a hotel badly. Governor Whitman is going to deliver her speech in about 10 or 15 minutes. People are filing in right now, legislators who were in session. Clearly, from advanced press reports and from the copy of the speech that was made available to the news media about an hour ago, the property tax issue is the highlight of this speech. What goes around comes around. We used to have a homestead rebate in New Jersey. It was done away with more or less in 1992 by a Republican-controlled legislature. Governor Whitman is bringing it back. These are good times. There's a surplus in the state treasury. The governor knows that she's been under a lot of pressure to do something about property taxes. She has a very ambitious proposal here today, a proposal that will amount to $1 billion 5 years out. It's a politically attractive proposal in this year in which the Assembly is up for election. It's hard to imagine the minority party bucking this proposal. And we'll hear from our analysts in a minute on whether this proposal is going to fly. But a couple other things in the speech, an emphasis on long-term care for senior citizens and making that more palatable, more community-based care, more perks for the caregivers, the children of the elderly, who in many instances are 60 years old themselves and exhausted. You'll hear the governor talking about that. There's also an interesting gun control measure. Christy Whitman has not been much of a friend of the gun control movement since becoming governor, but she's going to embrace the idea of smart guns or child-proof guns in this speech. Let's turn to our analysts, Democrat Jim McQueenie and Republican Roger Bodman. The thing that's getting all the attention in advance of the speech is the property tax plan. your thoughts as a Democrat on it.
Well, it's kind of interesting that the governor, as the Senate Democratic leader Dick Cody says, and the Assembly Democratic leader Joe Doria say, welcome back to the Democratic neighborhood. This was a program, in essence, that the Republicans threw out. It was a Democratic program, a rebate program of taxes back. So I think there'll be some appeal to it, frankly, from the Democratic side. But hello, welcome back on tax reduction.
Roger, your thoughts on the property tax plank in this speech?
I think it's a wonderful proposal, and I know that that it's going to be warmly welcomed in the legislature. Speaker Jack Collins was a proponent, a very strong proponent of this rebate approach. He told me so yesterday, and it is almost guaranteed to receive a warm welcome in the Assembly as well as in the Senate, because in addition to that, other programs that the Speaker wanted, for example, eliminating the income tax on some 200,000 New Jerseyans, those that earn under $13,000 a year. His proposal is incorporated in his speech, and the Senate President, Don DeFrancesco's proposal to provide increased aid to municipalities by way of an inflation factor or increase it by some CPI-type index is also in the speech. So the legislature is taken care of here.
There's a feel-good aspect to this speech in that the governor is saying we can do property tax relief my way, we can do it Don's way, and we can do it Jack's way, everybody's way. I guess it's because we have a surplus.
Well, that's the point. I mean, look, we're awash in money, as Democrats might say, thanks to the Clinton economic success at the national level that the state has benefited from. But we're awash in money and surplus, and it's easy to say that there's not a lot of fighting over the same food in the plate here. There's a big plate with a lot of food here in terms of surplus, and also a lot of pent-up desire to fix this in terms of property taxes here. I mean, it's at levels that are very rough. It's also embarrassing, politically embarrassing, to have such a large surplus and not deal with property taxes, frankly.
As Dick Cody was quoted saying today, already this morning, with word out on just what this property tax rebate plan would be, that the money should go back to the people because it belongs to the people with a $600+ million surplus. But these are good economic times, and the governor can do this during these times. But there is concern being voiced about when that might change. Roger, how do you answer those from the other end of the aisle who would say, what do we do when the times do change? How do we pay for this?
Well, Kent, the fact of the matter is a budget is a document of priorities. When I first came to Trenton in the Kane administration, the budget was roughly $5.5 billion. It's 19+ billion now. If in fact it is the will of the political leaders of this state to take $1 billion after 5 years to dedicate it to this vexing problem that has long haunted all New Jersey politicians, well, then so be it. And I believe that is exactly what we're seeing here. A very aggressive approach by this governor, by Jack Collins, by Don DeFrancesco on attacking this property tax problem that's caused politicians so much difficulty for so many years.
With the ban striking up, we've been told that this is going to be 10 or 15 minutes so late getting started. And of course, it's even a little difficult for us to hear today with the band playing and to hear each other. But while the band is playing, we will continue to talk. The legislature was in session this morning, Michael. You were downtown, and one of the things they were haggling over was the utility tax bill, the right to give New Jerseyans the right to choose their own utility company in New Jersey. And there was a lot of back and forth on that, and concern that maybe that could not even be resolved by today, so the governor could talk about it.
Well, Kent, I left about half an hour ago, and the Assembly had not yet voted on the electric deregulation bill. The Senate was waiting to see what the Assembly did, as best I understood what was going on. Everybody wanted to get the bill passed by 2 o'clock and come over here and listen to the speech. But last I heard, the Senate, under Senate President DeFrancesco, was going to come over here, listen to the speech, assume that the Assembly had passed this bill, and then go back into session after the speech. Actually, technically, they're probably still in session when they're listening to the speech, but they were going to walk back over to the State House, resume their session, and presumably pass this bill. There's a lot of attention focused on the bill. We had thought that maybe Governor Whitman was going to, maybe the pressure to get it done by 2 o'clock was that the governor wanted to say something about it in her speech. In the advanced text of her speech, there's nothing about electric deregulation, and I thought I was anticipating a line. We cut your insurance rates 15%. We're about to cut your electricity rates 5 to 10%. In the advanced text, it's not there.
Well, I think that was a goal, I think, because part of what you do with the surplus She wants to say what her programs really did in terms of auto insurance, and that 50% savings is supposed to be experienced by people this year, and the utility cuts and choice would be experienced this year. And don't forget, there's an assembly election for control of the assembly, the other half of the legislature here. And all this good news, if it was done right and orchestrated in the best way, I suppose, in the governor's view, would be that that's the best environment for Republicans to defend themselves in the legislature.
Well, I think they're going to get back. There's some slight differences in the legislation between the two houses, Michael, now, but the word as of about an hour ago is that they were working on a compromise. Assembly Majority Leader Paul DiGaetano has worked very, very hard on this piece of legislation, which will provide, when the day is done, a 10% reduction for all New Jerseyans.
I have a kind of philosophical point I want to share with you and get your reactions to. I wonder if life in New Jersey is becoming more complicated with all the legislation that's being passed. The auto insurance laws now with this tiered rating, they tell you shop around, and then they send you 48 pages of 6-point type for how to shop around for auto insurance. Electric deregulation, we're going to be besieged by people wanting to sell us power and trying to figure that out. The governor's own rebate plan being announced today in the advance press reports. It's saying, are we about to go to the podium?
Well, not yet.
Okay,
I
now
think
where
we
I'm
can
told,
keep going, but what we would like to say is, of course, this is a joint session of the legislature, which has just been set to be called to order by the Speaker, Jack Collins, and Senate. And the Senate President, Don DeFrancesco, has just hushed the crowd here.
All right, well, I'm told that we should keep talking here, and so, the rebate plan, seniors who get a rebate are going to have to choose between their current rebate or this new rebate. I mean, everything is getting a little complicated?
Well, complicated, and maybe there's complications in choice, but there's also freedom in choice. I mean, welcome to the marketplace world, where we have 1 million cable channels we have to choose from every night. Well, so too on these things of important things to consumers, whether it's auto insurance or whether it's power. Well, finally, the government's saying we're out of the regulating business for all extents and purposes. It's going to go to the marketplace, and you, the consumer, are going to decide. It's really an evolving of government, not just in New Jersey, but around the country, to let it play out in the marketplace. And yeah, if there's inconvenience involved in choice or a lot of million calls coming over the telephone, a direct mail that you're always going through, yeah, that's part of it. But lower prices are too.
You don't think it's going to make people nostalgic for the old monopolies, AT&T, PSE&G, one homestead rebate to choose from?
I don't see any great political clamoring out there for electric deregulation, to be honest with you. In other words, I don't see people, marching up and down West State Street saying, deregulate electricity now. I think you're absolutely right. And I think they are, in fact, fearful of some of the calls they'll get at the dinner hour.
Roger, I just think but Michael's just overly nostalgic, and there used to be only 8 teams in the American League, Michael, too.
I liked it back then, Jim.
The good old days. Of course, this is a plan that's being modeled over what's going on in the state of Pennsylvania. And as I finish that thought, I am now being told that we should go down to the floor, where a joint session of the legislature is now in progress. And of course, Christine Todd Whitman, after the opening ceremony, will deliver her 5th State of the State address.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads for prayer. Almighty God, we bow in your presence this day with the realization that you are our God and we are your people. We give thanks today for those who gave their lives in service for this country. As we rededicate this memorial, we dedicate ourselves to the task of perfecting your kingdom of peace among all nations. May this memorial serve as an enduring witness before your people of faithful service of those whom we commemorate. Endow each of us with courage and strength that we may affirm the ideals for which others have sacrificed and exalt the memory of their commitment to our nation. This we ask in your holy name. Amen. Please be seated.
On behalf of both houses of the legislature, Senate President DeFrancesco and I would like to welcome everyone to the Governor's annual State of the State Address, which will be immediately followed by the rededication of the War Memorial. Mr. President, I wish to inform the joint session that the Governor has arrived. Will the committee to wait on the Governor please escort her to the podium?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my proud honor to introduce the Governor of the State of New Jersey, the Honorable Christine Todd Whitman.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, Madam Chief Justice, distinguished members of the legislature, proud veterans, honored guests, and fellow New Jerseyans. 5 years ago, when I took my oath of office on this stage, the Trenton War Memorial had reached a sad state of disrepair. Just look around you now. Once again, New Jersey has a war memorial as majestic and proud as the heroism it honors.
I want to thank all those who had a part in restoring this remarkable structure. It is fitting that we remember New Jersey's patriots and rededicate this memorial to them. As we do so, it is also fitting that we look back at what we have done together for our state and rededicate ourselves to building its future. As I begin, I want to applaud the outstanding work accomplished last year by the legislature, and in particular by the two gentlemen sitting behind me. Whether the issue was auto insurance or open space or a property tax freeze for seniors, Senate President DeFrancesco and Speaker Collins have always put the people first. Working in collaboration with minority leaders Cody and Doria, they have helped New Jersey achieve some remarkable things. Gentlemen, I salute you and I thank you. Since I've been governor, I've often been asked, what do you want to be known for? What do you want your legacy to be? It's a tough question. This state is too diverse, its challenges too great for us to focus all our energies on any one area, no matter how worthy. I don't want to be known just as the tax-cutting governor, but I'm proud that together we've cut taxes 17 times, that working families are keeping more of what they earn, and that today in New Jersey, more people are working than ever before. I don't want to be known as just the crime-fighting governor, but I'm proud that the laws we have passed have made our state a tougher place for criminals and a safer place for families. Today, New Jersey has the lowest crime rate in a quarter of a century. I don't want to be known as just the education governor, but I'm proud that we have put in place tough academic standards, that we have charter schools opening all around the state, and that for the first time in 3 decades, we have put the spotlight where it belongs, not in the courtroom, but in the classroom. I don't want to be known as just the welfare governor, but I'm proud that together in a bipartisan spirit, we have helped families get back on the road to self-sufficiency. Today, the welfare caseload in New Jersey is 45% lower than the day I took office. Our citizens deserve leaders who are tax cutters, crime fighters, education and welfare reformers, and so much more. So let the fullness of our record mark my tenure as governor, and let that record be the health of our economy, the prosperity of our citizens, and the strength of our families. My fellow citizens, the state of the state is vibrant and vigorous. I'm proud of what we've achieved over these 5 years, but as we stand on the edge of a new millennium, we can't rest on our record. We need to rededicate ourselves. We need to set our sights on the future. Thanks to you, it will forever be a future of open spaces. Because of the legislature's commitment and the voters' approval, New Jersey is on its way toward an historic achievement, saving 1 million more acres of open space and farmland. No other state has dedicated as much of its land to preservation. I want to thank sponsors Rich Bagger, Steve Korodemus, and Leonard Lance in the Assembly, and John Bennett, Tony Bucco, Bob Littell, and Bob Martin in the Senate. In Washington, they're talking this week about making an unprecedented commitment to open space. If they want to see how it's done, I say, look to New Jersey. But I want to make our commitment even more visible. I want everyone in this state to share in our journey toward 1 million acres. And I want others who visit New Jersey to watch us reach our goal. So today I'm creating a Garden State Open Space Registry, an acre-by-acre ledger of our progress toward this history-making goal. With the assistance and the Council on New Jersey Outdoors, we will mark down every farm parcel preserved, every acre of open space purchased, every patch donated to a land trust. What's more, we will plot our progress on signs like this one, posted in prominent locations around New Jersey and on the state's website. Citizens and visitors alike will know where we stand. I hope they will also get to know some of the generous people who are helping us reach that goal. I would now like to introduce you to some of them, some of the first people to sign their names into the registry. Meet Steve Leone. I'd ask Steve to stand, please. Steve and his extended family are donating 3,500 acres of their land in Ocean County to the Nature Conservancy. Meet Fred and Gail Gardner of Ringo's. They donated the development rights for their 57-acre farm to the Agricultural Development Committee for farmland preservation. Their donation saved the state $340,000. Meet Gus and Jane Knight. They sold their 205-acre farm in Morris County at below market price to the New Jersey Conservation Foundation. Better yet, the sale of their farm helped spark the acquisition of the farm next door, giving us even more acres. The Leones, Gardners, and Knights believe that there are other people like them who care about the future of the Garden State, other people willing to make a difference. I think so too. I hope that these generous people will serve to inspire the hundreds and thousands of other New Jersey families who may be in a position to help. And I want to say again, thank you very much to each and every one of you. But I want to provide more than inspiration. As Senator Bill Gormley has suggested, we should make a financial commitment to those who donate as well. If you do your part to keep New Jersey green, you ought to be able to keep a little more green in your wallet. I'm working with the legislature to create a special cash incentive for land donation in the state of New Jersey. With this initiative, I am confident that we will be able to exceed our original projection for open space donations. This means that we'll be able to meet our million-acre goal and have money left over to address an equally vital concern: our parks and our playgrounds. Our cities and towns need help to build new ball fields, swing sets, pathways, and other park facilities so that no child will have to travel miles to play. And today, I am pleased to propose that our stable source of funding include $100 million over the next decade for urban, suburban, and rural park development. In addition, with this year's budget, we will put more money toward improvements at our state parks, and we will increase state park operating funds so that we can hire 100 more park rangers and maintenance workers. The people have shown that they care about our open spaces. Let's rededicate ourselves to carrying out the will of the people. 1 million acres. This is our mandate. This is our moment. This is our gift to the future of the state that we are proud to call home. We all care about open space, but we share other bonds as well, the bonds of family. We strive to make New Jersey the best, not only for ourselves, but also for the ones we love. We should first look to our heritage, our parents and grandparents who did so much to make this state what it is. We want our aging parents to continue to call New Jersey home and get the best care and treatment possible. Consider the progress that we've made in giving families more options for long-term care. There were no assisted living facilities in New Jersey 5 years ago. Today, there are more than 70, with many more in the works. And we now have 13 agencies licensed to place frail elderly in alternate family care or adult foster care. But even that's not good enough. There are still too many seniors being automatically shuttled from hospitals into nursing homes. I want a New Jersey where no one has to go into a nursing home unless they absolutely have to be there or want to be there. How do we make that happen? First, we must talk with seniors and their families before they leave the hospital to find out what they need. And then we must give them solid alternatives. For one person, the solution could be assisted living. For another family, respite care could be the answer. Every senior is unique, and we must tailor our programs to meet their needs. Last year, we got the ball rolling. We helped 200 seniors move out of nursing homes and into the community. And we know there are many more who could make that same transition. So I'm pleased to announce in this, the International Year of Older Persons, a comprehensive $60 million commitment to seniors and caregivers phased in over 3 years, a statewide effort to give them every possible option for long-term care. We will start this year by helping at least 1,000 seniors who are now in nursing homes receive care in the community instead. By the end of my term, we expect to interview 43,000 seniors in hospitals and nursing homes and help as many as possible move back into the community. The more seniors we can reach, the more dollars we can reinvest in community care and help for the caregivers. Who are these caregivers? They could be you or your neighbor. In New Jersey, 1 out of every 4 households is caring for an elderly relative. 64% of caregivers are juggling a full or part-time job with the demands of their caregiving role. Most of us are unprepared for the task. Our loved ones can go from independence to dependence almost overnight, forcing us to make very painful and difficult decisions about their care without the time to find all the answers or even know where to begin asking the questions. At that moment, caregivers ought to have all the support they need, whether that decision means a nursing home or some other form of long-term care. Assemblywoman Carol Murphy, the outstanding chair of the New Jersey Advisory Council on Elder Care, heard firsthand from caregivers around the state about their struggles. For example, Yvonne Thomas, a licensed practical nurse, is caring for her 97-year-old mother. She says, "In spite of my experience, when it came time to care for my mother, I didn't have the wherewithal." To Yvonne and 750,000 caregivers in this state, I'm proud to announce that we will give you more support than ever before. What you do is not only compassionate, it also saves us the expense of nursing home care, and we should do all we can to encourage you. So for the first time, the state will provide assistance to qualified family caregivers who provide needed services for their elderly relatives at home. We'll start with a commitment in 4 counties, but by the end of my term, we intend to take this program statewide. Caregivers, I recognize your devotion. I know how exhausting your work can be. I've been there. That's why the plan I am announcing today will also provide more respite care so that you can take a break every now and then. While we're at it, we want to make finding out about respite care, assisted living, or for that matter, any senior service, just a phone call away. Anyone who has tried to get help for a senior can tell you that knowing who to call and what to ask is half the battle. That's why we have set up toll-free senior hotlines in counties all around the state. We call it New Jersey Ease. Now we want to make it even easier. I'm pleased to announce that starting today, we are instituting one New Jersey Ease toll-free number for all of the Garden State. That number is 1-877-222-3737. This means that if your elderly mother lives in Mercer County and you live in Hudson County, you'll have one number to call to find out what services are available in her community. You'll be getting the answers from a real person, not a recording, and that's going to make a difference no matter where you live. While we rededicate ourselves to a better New Jersey by helping senior citizens, we also need to help our youngest citizens, our children. First and foremost, we must make sure that they're healthy. Last year, I announced New Jersey Kid Care, a plan to provide affordable health insurance to more than 100,000 children. This plan was sponsored by Marian Kreco and Jerry Zecker in the Assembly and Jack Sinagra in the Senate. My ultimate goal is to make health insurance available to every child in this state. Today, I am taking 3 more steps to achieve that goal. First, I am pleased to announce that we will expand Kid Care coverage. We will now serve children in families up to 350% of the federal poverty level, with family contributions on a sliding scale based on income. Second, I want to create a mechanism to help small businesses provide health insurance that both they and their employees can afford. So I am directing my Children's Health Insurance Work Group to hammer out a plan within 90 days. And finally, I have directed the Commissioner of Human Services to cut the waiting time for Kid Care coverage from 1 year to 6 months, starting right now. That means thousands more children won't have to wait 1 day more than necessary to get help. Gail Gibbs of Roebling knows the value of New Jersey Kid Care. Once she couldn't afford medication for her son's attention deficit disorder. Today, that medication is helping him achieve in school on an equal footing with his classmates. We're keeping our children healthy. Let's also rededicate ourselves to keeping them safe. Crime in New Jersey is down, but we have seen enough youth violence nationwide to recognize the dangers our kids face. Those school shootings last week and last year were in other states. Next time, it could be our state, our kids, our tragedy. We have already invested state funds to help new gun owners defray the cost of safety locks. Now I want to take the next step. Today, I am proposing legislation to require that every gun sold in New Jersey either include the new smart gun technology or be fitted with a safety lock. I don't want one more gun sold in this state I don't want one more gun sold in this state without built-in protection for our children. While we're taking care of our children's health and safety, we're also doing more to strengthen their minds. Every parent sings the praises of a good teacher. By the same token, we cringe when our child gets a teacher whose skills aren't up to speed. New Jersey does not want for new teachers, but New Jersey does want the best teachers. That's why I am proposing several initiatives that will help us keep our teacher qualifications high. Right now, we require education graduates from New Jersey colleges to carry a C+ average to qualify as a candidate for certification. Well, C+ isn't good enough. So I am asking the State Board of Education to require all new graduates who apply for certification to carry at least a B average. Raising the requirements for every candidate will raise the academic quality of all teachers across the board. New Jersey children deserve the finest teachers our schools can recruit. So I will also direct the Department of Education to step up its efforts to help school districts recruit prospects from top universities here at home and across the nation. I want outstanding students at Princeton and Rutgers, Boston College, and UVA to think about pursuing careers as teachers in the Garden State. Finally, as we work to strengthen the profession, I want to draw on one of our state's greatest resources, the very best teachers we already have. We're fortunate that in this audience are a good number of our County Teachers of the Year, and I ask them to stand so we can show them our appreciation. These men and women are doing a wonderful job. Let's invite them to inspire the next generation of teachers. This year, I will work to create a voluntary exchange program between our 21 Teachers of the Year winners and education faculty at New Jersey colleges. As I see it, everyone will benefit from these one-year job exchanges. Our schools will get the expertise of skilled college teacher trainers, and undergraduates will gain from outstanding role models coming straight from our public school classrooms. As you can see, I want us to rededicate ourselves to creating a New Jersey with the best teachers. I also want to get personally involved in helping our students achieve their best. I invite you to turn your attention to the balcony. It may be a little difficult to see, but up there you will find 200 very special guests, fourth graders from our schools around Mercer County. On a day that we rededicate a building to the great New Jersey heroes of our past, these young people represent the future of the Garden State. As you know, fourth grade is the year that students in the Garden State learn about New Jersey history and government. We've brought these students to Trenton today to let them see state government firsthand. Now I want to bring Trenton to fourth graders around the state. So this year, in adding to the commitment to volunteerism I made last January, I will volunteer to teach the New Jersey history curriculum in fourth grade classes every month. What's more, I invite members of the legislature and anyone else with special knowledge of New Jersey government to share that experience in the classroom. There are few better ways to invest your time than in helping young people reach the high standards that we have set for them. Our public schools are the foundation of a well-educated, highly skilled citizenry, but learning is a lifelong pursuit. I want to ensure that every New Jersey citizen has ongoing educational opportunities. We know that many New Jerseyans would like to earn college credits, but are unable to attend a traditional college. We know that being a single parent or not having transportation can stand in the way of pursuing a degree. And we know that New Jersey's businesses need ready access to training that our colleges offer. So today, I am pleased to announce an initiative that will put distance learning only a keyboard away. Today, I am opening the doors to what we call the New Jersey Virtual University. This initiative provides an online index of distance learning courses offered by colleges and universities across the state, and it invests $500,000 to help faculty learn how to best incorporate this technology into their curriculum. Individuals and employers can visit the website to learn about more than 800 offerings available over the internet or through other technologies. Log on to njvu.org and discover that you can earn a master's degree in engineering from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, or an associate's degree at Atlantic Community College. In fact, the variety of distance learning opportunities is already as diverse as New Jersey itself. Distance learning will never replace the traditional classroom, but it can bring higher education to those who can't reach the classroom. And by helping our institutions reach well beyond our state's borders, the virtual university will put New Jersey at the forefront of distance education. Let's make the Garden State all that it can be. Look how far we have already come. Together, we tackled the problem of auto insurance. Together, we put standards and accountability back into our schools. Together, we helped thousands of urban families achieve the American dream of home ownership. Together, we made open space a lasting legacy for the Garden State. Together, we cut the income tax. What's more, I look forward to signing Jack Collins and Joe Doria's bill that will take another 200,000 low-income New Jerseyans off the income tax rolls altogether. But you know, and I know, that we can't make New Jersey the best place in which to live and work and raise a family until we rededicate ourselves to removing the biggest obstacle that remains in our path, rising property taxes. Over the past 5 years, with hard work from legislators like Mike Arnone, Guy Tallarica, Barbara Wright, Paul Kramer, and Sam Thompson, state government has done its share to help local governments and their property taxpayers. Record amounts of school aid, a restructured utility tax delivering reliable and higher amounts of local aid, $200 million a year in property tax deductions on the income tax, $35 million in consolidation incentives recommended by my Property Tax Commission, an absolute property tax freeze for more than 250,000 seniors. I'll match what we've done on property taxes against the record of any other governor and any other legislature in the history of this state. It's time to do more. As you know, Senate President DeFrancesco has suggested that we address this problem by tying state municipal aid increases to the rate of inflation. I initially had some reservations about the proposal, but because the Senate President has insisted that the additional aid spell tax relief, not simply more spending, I am pleased to announce today that I will support his plan. Taxpayers of New Jersey, this proposal does something to help your mayors hold down municipal property taxes. Now I want to do something to help you deal with the biggest part of your property tax bill, the school tax. I said during the campaign that I would put property tax relief at the top of my second-term agenda. I said you deserve to keep more of your hard-earned money. Today, I deliver on that promise. I am proud to propose the single most significant property tax relief that New Jersey has ever provided. $1 billion in direct relief that will go straight from the State House to your house. $1 billion. That's on top of our homestead rebate program. That's on top of our property tax deduction. And best of all, it's a check that will be there for you every single year. Under my plan, the state will offset the school taxes each homeowner pays on the first $45,000 of assessed value on that home, providing, in effect, an average 33% discount. We will phase in this plan over the next 5 years, and we will make sure that every senior who now gets a homestead rebate will get that check or a check from this new program, whichever is larger. And to help renters who aren't seniors, we will increase the homestead tenant credit to $100 and offer it to any renter earning up to $100,000. What will this proposal mean to a New Jersey family once it takes full effect? It will mean an average check for $600 every year. Of course, $600 is an average. We structured this proposal so that those saddled with the highest school taxes will get the most help. So in Pennsauken, you can expect $760. Families in nearby Hamilton Township will get back about $690. West Orange, about $740, and Deptford, about $540. Let me be clear. This billion-dollar tax relief program will require fiscal discipline from those of us in Trenton. Fiscal discipline means being very cautious about any new spending programs. Fiscal discipline means constantly reminding ourselves that the #1 priority is helping you, the taxpayer. The fiscal discipline that we show today will deliver a check to you tomorrow. Join me in urging the legislature to act by April 15th so you can get your first check as soon as possible. If we make this happen by tax day, I'll send you your first check by Labor Day. My fellow citizens, you asked for property tax relief, and I intend to give it to you 1 billion times over. These, then, are my priorities for the coming year. We will begin our journey toward 1 million acres of open space and farmland. We will help those caring for aging parents. We will continue to improve our schools and keep our children safe. We will expand opportunities for lifelong learning. And we will tackle property taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 years ago, I took my oath in this hall. Look how much we have accomplished since then. Today, our future is as promising as this building is magnificent. Today, from Ho-Ho-Kus to Hamilton, more people are working than ever before. Today, from Paulsboro to Patterson, our streets are their safest in a quarter century. Today, from Andover to Atlantic City, our families have access to good health care and schools that are improving every day. Now it is time to tackle the challenges of a new millennium. Just as we gather to rededicate this building, we must rededicate ourselves to the tasks that lie ahead. Just as we pay respect to the men and women for whom this building was dedicated, we must respect the public trust by doing the will of the people. Just as we expand the roster of New Jersey heroes honored here today, we must expand our efforts to serve the people that they fought to protect. Their bodies lie at rest, but their example live on. These New Jersey heroes died to keep us free. Let us honor their lives, not only by the cement and ornament of this great building, but also by the real work each of us does to build a safer, more secure, more prosperous state of New Jersey. Because when we do, great things happen. Thank you very much.
As the governor concludes her 1999 State of the State address with a promise of property tax reform, a promise that met with great applause here at the Trenton War Memorial. As she concluded her remarks, the governor saluted the men and women who served in World War I and II, the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and the Persian Gulf War, all of New Jersey veterans. And now, to center stage, the rededication of the Trenton War Memorial. The ceremony will include a 21-gun salute and the unveiling of a plaque marking this rededication as a tribute to all New Jersey veterans.
For all of New Jerseyans. This magnificent building, erected by the people in honor of those who fought and died in the First World War, has been restored to its former glory. It is once again a fitting monument to all those New Jerseyans who have answered America's call. To begin our rededication of the War Memorial, it is my honor and privilege to introduce a decorated combat veteran of Vietnam, Mr. John Whitman.
Thank you, General Glazer. This is a proud day for New Jersey's veterans. Over the past 5 years, I've had the honor to accompany the governor on numerous events honoring our men and women in uniform and to represent her at many others. Everywhere I've gone, I have found that our veterans' pride in New Jersey and in America is matched only by our pride in them. And that is as it should be. Now, I'd like to call your attention to the video screens on either side for a brief salute to New Jersey's veterans.
Today is a day of dedication. Today we dedicate a monument. Today we dedicate a memory. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will in this crisis shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. In revisiting the times in which our nation was at war, we honor the bravery and selflessness with patriotism of the men and women who fought for liberty and for justice. 67 years ago, this building was dedicated to the memory of the veterans of the First World War. At that time, it was thought to be the war to end all wars. On the north facade of the War Memorial, there is an inscription to soldiers who lost their lives in the Great War. That inscription has always had a special meaning for me, and I would like to share it with you now. It reads, "They shall not grow old as we who are left grow old. At the going down of the sun in the morning, we shall remember them." Those lines capture the spirit in which this magnificent building was built and the spirit in which it has been restored. For 5 years, we've worked to bring this building back to its former grandeur. It is now a fitting symbol of our gratitude and commitment to New Jersey's veterans. As we rededicate the War Memorial, we do so in honor and memory of all New Jersey veterans, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice for this state and for their country. Joining us today to help in the rededication of the War Memorial are veterans of each of America's wars this century. First, I would like to introduce Sheldon Gamel and Jennifer Johnson, veterans of the Gulf War, who are now stationed at the Marine Reserve Center in West Trenton. I would also like to introduce Richard Martin of Paramus, who served in the Vietnam War. Next is Robert Yancey of Florence, a veteran of the Korean War. Please also welcome Stephen Gregg from Bayonne and Nicholas Oresco of Tenafly, who both served in World War II, where they each earned the nation's highest award for valor, the Congressional Medal of Honor. Finally, please join me in welcoming Charles Carlton from Marlton, New Jersey, who served in the First World War. Mr. Carlton turned 100 this past Saturday, and I speak for all of us in wishing him a happy birthday. The War Memorial is a testimony to the dignity and heroism of New Jersey's veterans. I would like to ask all the veterans in the audience to stand so that we can show our appreciation to them. So the rest of you sit down, the veterans stay up. Today, as we pay our respects to the heroic men and women who have served our armed forces, let us also remember those who are now on active duty in harm's way and wish them all of God's protection. Now it is my honor to unveil a plaque commemorating the rededication of the War Memorial. This plaque will be displayed on the War Memorial's Court of Honor as a permanent reminder of this day.
To commemorate today's events, I authorized the striking of a medallion, which I am now honored with the Governor's help to present to this distinguished group. Now I'd like everyone to stand and observe a period of silence in honor and tribute to those brave New Jerseyans who made the ultimate sacrifice in the service of our country.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Could have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening news and lamps. I can read his righteous sentence slide and give it fairy lamps. His day is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is lifting out the hearts of men before the judgment seat. Always lift my soul to bless him, be jubilant my feet. Our God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is coming of the victory and the exaltation. He has done the punching of his terrible sword. His truth is marching on.
I'd like to give a special thanks to the choir from West Point Prep School at Fort Monmouth and members of Battery B, 3rd Battalion, 112th Field Artillery, and the 63rd Army Band, New Jersey National Guard for the stirring tribute. To close these ceremonies, I'm honored to ask my newest colleague in the Cabinet, the Secretary of State, DeForest B. Soares, Jr., to offer the benediction.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Eternal God, we are moved by the majesty and meaning of this memorial, as we are humbled by the awesome tasks that you placed in our hands. We thank you for the lives who fought. We thank you for the lives that were lost protecting our freedoms. We thank you for the vision of our governor, the energy of our legislature, and the quality of our judiciary. We thank you for the commitment of all public officials, corporate and community leaders. And we pray this afternoon that you will inspire us as we serve, instruct us as we work, and that you will infuse us with your majestic power. The outworking of your providence has placed us at the eve of a new millennium. As we gather for the last time in this manner during this century, craft us into responsible agents of leadership and change. As we experience the dawn of a new age, help us to remain focused and firm in our mission. Help us to never forget those whose needs will only be met if we do our jobs well. We pray for every citizen who lives in the great state of New Jersey. We ask your blessings upon every city, every township, every village and hamlet. that this year will be a year of prosperity and reconciliation. May our state be an example of civil behavior, community spirit, and moral excellence. Direct us to be fair in our dealings, just in our decision-making, and inclusive in our planning. May your peace abide in our coming and our going. And may we be ever mindful that the greatest among us are those who serve. Help us to never forget the least of our multifaceted citizenry, especially our children. As we leave this place, we pray that we will aspire to the words of St. Francis, that we will all be instruments of your peace. Go with us and bless all of us who share this moment in time. Grant us your mercy and never let us rest until we achieve genuine community and true shalom. In your name we pray. Amen.
And with those words of benediction from New Jersey's soon-to-be new Secretary of State, the Reverend Buster Soares, this dedication of the Trenton War Memorial and Governor Whitman's State of the State address is concluded. But we are going to take just a short break in our coverage of this address today, and then we will come back with the Democratic response. So stay tuned to NJN. We will be right back.
This is an NJN News special report. Governor Whitman's State of the State address.
And welcome back to NJN's coverage of Governor Whitman's State of the State address here at the Trenton War Memorial as the guests file out at the conclusion of the governor's remarks and the rededication of this great hall today. I'm joined by my colleague, NJN senior political correspondent Michael Aaron, and our guests for the Democratic response to the governor's remarks today, the Senate Minority Leader Dick Cody and the Assembly Minority Leader Joe Doria. Gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for being with us. Senator, to begin with you, looks like the governor is going to make tax reform a real priority. How do you feel about that?
Well, we welcome the governor to the Democratic neighborhood of property tax relief. We called for this last year, the year before that, saying the surplus belongs to the people of the state of New Jersey. It's their money. We're number one in the country in terms of highest property tax rates, so certainly relief for our people who are homeowners is needed and is welcome.
So you take some credit for that, then?
Well, I think we're happy that the governor, after 5 years, has agreed with us that property taxes are the responsibility of the state and that the state has a major role to play, and that today's speech she has taken a step, not a very big step, but a step towards trying to give back to the citizens of the state money that has been come to the budget over the past few years in surplus, and trying to give it back to the property taxpayers of the state who have an overwhelming burden.
I know that Michael wants to jump in here, but let me just follow up on that. You say not very much in the way of relief. Some people are wondering how the state is even going to pay for what the governor is calling for. Well, what would you be calling for if you occupied the majority then?
Let me just point out that we're talking about $1 billion over a 5-year phase-in, and that eventually she quoted some numbers from some towns, numbers ran between $600 and $700 as a rebate. That's approximately, in this instance, not a significant number when you think that in 1992 the Republican legislature abolished for most of the citizens of the state, except senior citizens, a $500 rebate. So what we're talking about today is 5 years from now, individuals in the state of New Jersey getting back between $600 and $700 of a rebate. And all these years intervening, not having received back anything from the state, even though their property taxes have increased during her term in office by over 21%.
Well, now let me jump in here, because now let's wait a minute. The average property tax bill in the state of New Jersey is about $4,000. 50 to 60% of that is the school tax. The governor's people are touting this as returning 1/3 of the school tax on average that people pay. That's a significant savings. I think if you ask the average person, would they like $600 or $700 off their property tax bill, they'd think that was substantial.
Well, Mike, what's also significant is the fact that since the governor took office, she has reduced the amount of money given back for school aid. So clearly you win on one hand and lose on the other. Where you live in Montclair, they lost millions of dollars. So that you had to increase property taxes to be commensurate with the spending that you wanted to see that your children receive. So she's done away with some property tax relief and is restoring some.
Isn't school aid up under Whitman by $1 billion or $2 billion over the 5 years of Whitman?
But
overall, not in every town.
And also not in terms of the cost of living, so forth and so on. So it's been a minus over her 5 years, Mike, as opposed to a plus.
Let me offer a hypothesis here. Last year, the governor tried to address property taxes in this speech when she called for a bunch of things like voter approval of municipal budgets that exceeded the rate of inflation and moving the school board elections to November. A couple other things that the legislature really wanted no part of. This year, she tried again and she got it right with a big, ambitious, big money proposal.
Well, clearly she heard the message that was resonating with voters. Property tax relief, property tax relief, property tax relief. She's done something about it in a big way. I think my concern, and I'm sure Joe agrees, is those out years, 2001, 2002. Are we going to have the money for this program? Are we going to have $1 billion surplus each year? Is the economy going to go south on us? We won't have enough money to give you that $760 every year.
Can you say, excuse me, I know you want to jump in now, but let me just ask someone, Doria, can you say that you're worried about how she's going to pay for it in the out years and it's not enough in one and the same breath?
Well, I think what we're saying is that the problem is a structural problem, and we're addressing the problem through a rebate program, which has been a tradition in New Jersey, started by the Democrats under Brendan Byrne, continued under Jim Florio, and now continuing with Governor Whitman. I think the issue becomes, number one, how do we deal with the problem of taxes in New Jersey, the structural problem, and number two, how do we continue to guarantee adequate funding? That issue continues to grow as the years go on, and one of the ways we've done it in the Whitman administration is depend upon bonded indebtedness. The question will be, in the future, will that bonded indebtedness also come back to haunt us as we try to guarantee the citizens property tax relief? Property tax relief should be the priority of the state government during the next few years. And so we have to try to balance all of the other obligations, all of the other programs, and the bonded indebtedness issue. So the problem here is, great, we're trying to address the problem. The governor's moving towards addressing something she said that didn't exist, wasn't the state responsibility. And now at the same time we have to worry about how are we going to balance the budget in the future if the economy, as Senator Coney so well pointed out, goes south, if we have some problems with being able to provide adequate funding, if the surplus isn't there in the future. So we're creating structural problems for the future that are not going to be easily dealt with, and we still really haven't addressed property taxes. We've come up with, again, a quick fix to a structural problem.
We want to talk about some of the other things that were in the address today, but I have to follow up on that. If you were able to, if you had the majority party, what would be the most significant step then the Democrats would propose to take care of this problem?
I think you've got to really look at the way we fund education and whether you want to, in a very unique way, change the fundamental way we pay for education in the state. You want to make it statewide. You want to get rid of property taxes in terms of schools. That question really was never answered by the Whitman administration within her property tax commission report. I think you've really got to take a real serious look at that.
You want to hike state taxes in order to reduce the property taxes?
I'm not sure I want to do that, Mike, but I want to make it more balanced in terms of what people pay. It shouldn't depend upon where you live. And that's the problem today with property taxes. It all depends upon where you live, not the value of your home and how much you make.
But isn't that what the governor is doing, is dipping into state coffers to help pay for schools and upping the state contribution to public education?
To a degree, without fundamentally changing the system, though, Mike.
One of the things that the governor does talk about is the need for more regionalization of expenses among municipalities, sharing of expenses among municipalities as a way to help solve this problem. What is your view on that?
Well, as a mayor, I can see the need for that. In Hudson County, 5 of the communities in the northern part of the county have regionalized their fire service. And again, there's savings to be gained through regionalization, but not significant enough to totally deal with the problem of property taxes. So regionalization makes sense in many instances. for
but
example,
it's a hot political issue.
Well, it's a
isn't
hot
it,
political
some of
issue,
them?
but the problem is some communities can regionalize. I have a difficulty. I'm surrounded on three sides by water, and I have Jersey City above me, and I'm not going to regionalize with a town that has much bigger programs, and at the same time, in many instances, cost more money than what I can do. So the difficulty becomes those communities like myself, where we can't regionalize on an economic manner. I think regionalization helps in a lot of the smaller towns. It helps in areas that are coterminous with each other. It's a step in the right direction, but again, a very small step.
Can we talk about some of the other things that were in the speech today? There was an emphasis on providing more community-based long-term care for senior citizens and helping the caregivers. There was talk of making teacher qualifications a little tighter. And then there was talk of a gun control proposal requiring all guns sold in the state of New Jersey to be smart weapons or child-proof. Senator, you've been on the gun issue. I was surprised. This struck me as the governor's first big embrace of the gun control movement in her 5 years, yes?
Yes, I'm not necessarily surprised, Michael. It is, I think, a motherhood issue. What surprised me was she said she was proposing, excuse me, Governor, we've had the bill in now for almost a year, both in the Senate and the Assembly on a bipartisan basis, so that was rather shocking.
Is it on its way to passage? Is she jumping on a bandwagon that's already halfway home, or is it a tough issue that needs her support?
That's tough to say, Mike. It's not out of committee yet. We think we have overwhelming support. So clearly her support from my side, from my point of view, is welcome. Any help she can give us, come on board, Governor, on that particular issue. In terms of seniors, as the population, the baby boomers like myself eventually age, sure there's a need for more and more services so you don't have to go to a nursing home, so forth and so on. But my reading of the speech and listening, she really didn't spell out a real program as opposed to talking about the problem with taking care of our parents as they get older and have health problems. So I think we got to wait and see in that regard, Mike.
Of course, the details come later on when the governor delivers
Devil's
her budget.
always in the details.
As you would say,
That's
Assemblyman.
right.
What did you hear today that you really liked about this?
Well, in the education area, I thought the concept of requiring a B average for certification was a good idea. I think the need to create more stringent qualifications for teachers is important, and I think the emphasis on teacher development is also good. I don't know if we need separate academies. I think maybe we can use the institutions that exist already in the state, just as she mentioned, the medical colleges do it for the doctors. But I think that was a good point, something that was well worthwhile. I like the home care issue. I think that's very important to try to encourage seniors to stay in their own homes. It's cheaper in the end, and it's better care, and it's more personal. The difficulty I find is it's somewhat contradictory, given the fact that the governor has cut Medicaid reimbursement costs. And the end result is that the money is not there to do a lot of these home care programs that was there a few years ago. So it seems, again, contradictory. I support the movement towards home care. I think everybody does, but we definitely need then adequate reimbursement for home care programs through Medicaid.
The two big political issues that dominated the last gubernatorial campaign and that linger are auto insurance and property taxes. The governor feels as if she tackled property taxes in this speech. She said she tackled auto insurance last year. You both were intimately involved in that auto insurance reform effort. What's your view on whether we can say we tackled auto insurance reform?
Well, clearly the legislature did, Mike, and as you renew your policy this year, you'll see whether or not you get that reduction that was promised to you.
Well, now it's whether or not. When it was promised, it was you're all going to get it. Now it's whether or not you're going to get it.
But there also was a bill that had been passed previous to that by the Republicans in the legislature creating a tier system.
Did you support that bill?
No, I did not, and the Democrats did not at all.
Some did.
Not in the Assembly. There was not one vote in the Assembly. I can tell you that. It was totally party line vote in the Assembly of the Republicans to pass the tiered rating bill, which in the end is the reason why, as Senator Cote has so well pointed out, that some people will not receive 15% and will not receive any decrease because of the fact that they moved from the surcharges, which basically were if people had a bad driving record, they paid for it, now to punishing people by geographic area, which is the tiers.
Yeah, but those surcharges were hated, and you could get a surcharge for one speeding violation, and we all wanted the surcharges ended. I think in this state, the letters to the editor column reflected that. Even if you didn't support the mechanism for getting away with this, doing away with the surcharges.
The mechanism that was used, the tiers, is going to be much more onerous, and you're going to see more letters against tier rating than you ever saw against surcharges, because here you're just being grouped together by your marital status, by your geographic area, by your age, rather than looking at how you drive your car. And I think everybody thinks it's much fairer that those who have bad driving records would pay, rather than just because you happen to be young, or you happen to be unmarried, or you happen to live in a certain geographic area, you're going to pay more just for that reason.
So the Democrats were on the good insurance bill and off the bad insurance bill, is what I'm hearing.
I'll tell you what, Mike, you can really phrase it very well. Very well.
That's a very good way of putting it. No question. No question.
No partisanship here.
Not at all.
Let me ask you about open space. The governor hails that as one of the achievements of her now one term and 1 year of her second term in office. She spoke more today about additional acquisition of open space. How do the Democrats feel about that?
Everybody's for open space. Every time there's a referendum about open spaces, everybody votes for it for the most part. My concern is that we do create open spaces in cities and urban areas. She talked today about acquiring more land, more open space, but
in
it was
urban
in Ocean
areas
County,
as well.
It was in Morris County. It wasn't in the cities. We need a program that creates open spaces.
Well, she
in
did
our
mention
cities,
urban
but it
areas.
hasn't been done yet. And to maintain that open space as well. So people in my district who say, Senator, what does that mean to me? That's something I may drive by once a year. I want it in my neighborhood like they have it in their neighborhood. And I think that's a legitimate complaint.
Let me just say, she moved in the direction of doing something for urban and suburban parks, but $100 million is what she's proposing. $10 million per year for 10 years is a drop in the bucket. I think we need to move towards where at least a quarter to a third of the money that is going to be set aside over the next 10 years is dedicated to the acquisition and development of parks in urban and suburban areas. And obviously open space is an important issue, but it's important to everybody in the state. And the referendum was passed by everyone in the state, a significant number in urban areas, because they were hopeful that we would be able to do more to provide open space and green areas in cities and suburbs.
With the surplus that we're enjoying now, the governor's able to propose this property tax rebate. She has not yet addressed how to fund the Transportation Trust Fund renewal. Presumably we're going to get to that in her budget message. We've got school construction needs. Do you get the sense that the governor is joining the mainstream of New Jersey politics, excuse me, and being willing to spend money?
Well, clearly now that you don't have to run for re-election, Mike, it's a lot easier to spend money when you don't have to face the voters again and when you have a record surpluses. But there is the issue of the Transportation Trust Fund. She wanted to increase the gas tax. I chuckled when she said I'm the tax-cutting governor who wanted to increase your gas taxes, but that has been left out there. We met with some union people recently, and the president and the speaker made it clear to the union people, the labor people, that they weren't going to do a gas tax. So I don't know what's on the table. I guess we'll hear it in her budget speech in terms of what are we going to do about our transportation infrastructure that needs to get done.
Is she becoming like a Kane and a Florio and a Byrne? The money's there, let's do the right thing, let's spend it. Is this becoming a more activist governor in her second term?
Perhaps taking away some of the Democratic thunder.
I think that, as Senator Cody said, yes, I think she, in the second term it's much easier to do a lot of things. You want to have some records, you want to have some history that would be made under your administration. I think that obviously some of these issues are very important, whether it be road construction or school construction. They're things that the majority of the citizens of the state support. The question is, how do we go about doing that? And one of the things that I always like to remind everyone is that it's nice to say we can do do all these things, but then we have to figure out how do we pay for it. And one of the problems that I think exists a lot of times in government, we tell people we can do everything, but we don't ever tell them we have to actually pay for doing everything. And that's what bonds are all about, because when we say, oh, well, put that off to the future, and we keep on putting it off. I don't think we can continue to do that. I think bonds are important. All of us supported bonding. We have supported bonding in the past, but we need to look at how do we actually pay for these expenses on a pay-as-you-go basis. And now that sounds Republican, but I think it's realistic. So maybe she's becoming more Democrat and we're becoming more Republican, but that's typical of New Jersey, the middle of the road.
Well, this is an election year in New Jersey. Maybe I should follow up there how this leads in to help the Republicans leading up to November and the elections, but also the Christie Whitman legacy, which certainly she alluded to today, and she's very concerned about in her second term.
It's amazing how every politician who can't run again is concerned about their legacy, whether you're the president or the governor.
Isn't that the way?
I guess so. I haven't reached that point yet.
Yet?
Someday it'll come. But in any event, there is an election for the Assembly. Clearly, last year it was a Democratic year. We would expect and hope that trend would continue. I would be surprised if she gave the checks to the Assembly people in the Republican side of the aisle to give out at the doors before they vote. So it'd be interesting to see whether this has an effect in terms of is it a plus for the Republicans or is it neither way in terms of...
Does that mean that Democrats are going to stay away from this rebate program because it's obviously going to help Republicans in the election, or are you going to sign on?
Obviously, we want to help the homeowners of the state and the property taxpayers, so we're not going to be doing anything just for partisan reasons. We're going to do it because it's the right thing and it's going to help the citizens. And if this program, we have to see what it looks like in the legislation that's drawn up. If this program is doing what's right for the citizens, we're going to have to be supportive, because we do believe that property taxes are very, very onerous. But we have to see what the details are. We have to see how it's going to be done. It's always interesting. It's going to be mailed out of Labor Day, which I always think is very appropriate. Now, every administration, again, we've done it as
Democrats and Republicans.
Democrats and Republicans have all done it.
We used to do it in October, though, closer to the election.
We're
a little smarter, I think.
Well, gentlemen, with that, I have to say that our time is up, and thank you both. Senate Minority Leader Dick Cody, Assembly Minority Leader Joseph Doria. Thank you very much for being here to wrap up our program with the Democratic response. As always, Michael Aaron, thank you. And that concludes our coverage of Governor Whitman's State of the State address and the Democratic response to her remarks today. I'm Kent Manahan. Thank you for being with us.